So hello, it's Reverend Chris Taylor here again, and today it's part 2 of chapter 3 of the House of Pooh Corner, which is entitled "In which a search is organised and Piglet nearly meets the Heffalump again." Now if you remember yesterday, we were looking for Small, one of Rabbit's friends and relations. Pooh fell down into a bit of the forest that wasn't there and landed, unfortunately, on Piglet. And they decided that they landed in a Heffalump trap and were trying to work out what they were going to do if the Heffalump fell in and got caught too. And Pooh had imagined what he would do, and Piglet had gently drifted off into his little universe of what he would do. And at the end of the conversation, he's managed to dispose of the Heffalump, who's gone off because Piglet has been tra-la-lying just like Pooh would have been, and then Pooh says to Piglet, "How brave and clever you are," and Piglet says modestly, "Not at all, Pooh." And then when Christopher Robin comes, Pooh can tell him all about it. While Piglet was dreaming his happy dream, and Pooh was wondering again whether it was 14 or 15, the search for Small was still going on over the forest. Small's real name was Very Small Beetle, but he was called Small for short when he was spoken to at all, which hardly ever happened except when someone said, "Really small." He'd been staying with Christopher Robin for a few seconds, and he'd started round a gorse bush for exercise, but instead of coming back the other way as expected, he hadn't, so nobody knew where he had gone. "I expect he's just gone home," said Christopher Robin to Rabbit. "Did he say goodbye and thank you for a nice time?" said Rabbit. "He'd only just said, 'How do you do?'" said Christopher Robin. And there, if you look very carefully, you can see Small setting off on his exercise around a gorse bush. "Ha!" said Rabbit. After thinking a little, he went on. "Has he written a letter saying how much he enjoyed himself and how sorry he was to have to go so suddenly?" Christopher Robin didn't think he had. "Ha!" said Rabbit again, and looked very important. "This is serious. He is lost. We must begin the search at once." Christopher Robin, who was thinking of something else, said, "Where's Pooh?" But Rabbit had gone. So he went into his house and drew a picture of Pooh going a long walk at about 7 o'clock in the morning. And then he climbed to the top of his tree and climbed down again. And then he wondered what Pooh was doing and went across the forest to see. It was not long before he came to the gravel pit, and he looked down. And there were Pooh and Piglet with their backs to him, dreaming happily. "Ho, ho!" said Christopher Robin loudly, and suddenly Piglet jumped 6 inches in the air with surprise and anxiety. But Pooh went on dreaming. "Here's the Heffalump," thought Piglet nervously. "Now then," he hummed in his throat a little, so that none of the words should stick. And then, in the most delightfully easy way, he said, "Tra-la-la, tra-la-la," as if he'd just thought of it. But he didn't look round. Because if you look round and see a very fierce Heffalump looking down at you, sometimes you forget what you were going to say. "Rum-tum-tiddle-tum-tum," said Christopher Robin in a voice like Pooh's, because Pooh had once invented a song which went tra-la-la, 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 rum-tum-tum-tiddle-um. So whenever Christopher Robin sings it, he always sings it in a Pooh voice, which seems to suit it better. "He said the wrong thing," thought Piglet anxiously. "He ought to have said, 'Ho, ho!' again. Perhaps I had better say it for him," and as fiercely as he could, Piglet said, "Ho, ho!" "How did you get there, Piglet?" said Christopher Robin in his ordinary voice. "This is terrible," thought Piglet. "First he talks in Pooh's voice, and then he talks in Christopher Robin's voice. And he's doing it so as to unsettle me, and being now completely unsettled," he said very quickly and squeakily, This is a trap for Poohs and I'm waiting to fall in it. Ho, ho, what's all this? And then I say ho, ho again. What? Said Christopher Robin. It's a trap for ho-hos, said Piglet huskily. I just made it, and I'm waiting for the ho-ho to come, and... How long Piglet would have gone on like this, I don't know. But at that moment, Pooh woke up suddenly and decided that it was 16. Now I've got two pictures of Christopher Robin to show you. One, remember we said earlier on he'd climbed his tree and looked up and then climbed down again. Well, there's Christopher Robin in his tree. And then we're just about to find him again, staring down into the gravel pit that Pooh and Piglet had found themselves in. And there he is, staring down, wondering what on earth the pair of them were doing in the gravel pit. So Pooh woke up suddenly and decided that it was 16. Can you remember he was counting his honey pots? And they thought it was 14, then maybe 15, and then Rabbit had said 16. So he got up, and as he turned his head so as to soothe himself in that awkward place in the middle of the bag where something was tickling him, he saw Christopher Robin. "Hello!" he shouted joyfully. "Hello, Pooh." Piglet looked up and looked away again. He felt so foolish and uncomfortable that he had almost decided to run away to sea and be a sailor, when suddenly he saw something. "Pooh!" he cried. "There's something climbing up your back." "I thought there was," said Pooh. "It's small!" cried Piglet. "Oh, that's who it is it?" said Pooh. "Christopher Robin, I've found Small!" cried Piglet. "Well done, Piglet," said Christopher Robin, and at these encouraging words Piglet felt happy again and decided not to be a sailor after all. So when Christopher Robin had helped them out of the gravel pit, they all went off together, hand in hand. And here's a picture of Pooh and Piglet, and can you see Small? It's amazing, isn't it? So they all went off from the gravel pit, hand in hand. And 2 days later, Rabbit happened to meet Eeyore in the forest. "Hello, Eeyore," he said. "What are you looking for?" "Small, of course," said Eeyore. "Haven't you any brain?" "Oh, but didn't I tell you," said Rabbit. "Small was found 2 days ago." There was a moment's silence. "Ha ha ha!" said Eeyore bitterly. "Merriment and what not. Don't apologise. It's just what would happen." The end.